If the Pac-12 really is dying, at least they're going out in a blaze of glory. James Harden, as expected, pouts the biggest pout in the history of poutery over not being a Clipper. And Darvin Ham thinks the Lakers have championship depth on the roster. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is August 14th, 2023. I'm a little bit late so far because just minutes ago, the Associated Press released its preseason top 25 for football, which obviously involves USC, and obviously that involves LA. So if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack that like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell, hit that, it'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring, let people know we exist, and by all means comment. There's always interesting stuff to talk about when it comes to LA sports. So before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. Your first place Los Angeles Dodgers have won their 8th consecutive game. Julio Urias strikes out 12, Dodgers 8, Colorado 3. Miguel Rojas Herbert drove in 4 runs. Dave Roberts is calling this year's edition the, quote, favorite team I've ever had, unquote. The Dodgers lead the NL West by 8.5 games. Meanwhile today, nothing. Let's all have a life. Me, I plan on staring at my wife until she becomes profoundly uncomfortable. Because that's romantic, guys. Take it from me. I was going to lead with a different topic for this clip, but then the AP Top 25 for the preseason came out. And just like the coaches poll, USC came in at number 6. They're the highest of all Pac-12 teams ranked. And I got to tell you something, if the Conference of Champions really is dying, and they are, they're going out with a bang. 5 Pac-12 teams are ranked in the top 25. And UCLA, they're not even one of them. And they're going to be an absolute handful for whoever they play this year. But if you're a Pac-12 guy, and obviously for many decades I was, this literally just makes you want to bang your head against the wall. It does. Because it indicates just how poorly the conference was run over the last few years. How the inevitable happened and a pretty doggone good conference is falling by the wayside. And it kind of reminds me, there was this comic, Bill Hicks, rest his soul, even though he was an atheist, right? He had this joke, it was really cruel, but it was really funny, about dying. The point being is that if you were like old and decrepit, which way do you want to go out? Do you just want to go out with a whimper? Do you want to go out where you've got like a bunch of lines, dozens of lines hanging out of what used to be healthy veins? You're watching just one little blue lump try to function and take in that medicine as you drift off into the abyss by yourself? Is that how you want to die? Or would you rather just go out with a bang? I advocate, and he advocated, the idea of the terminally ill being stunt doubles in movies, because at least you get to go out with a bang. Do you want to die alone in a decrepit room with no personality whatsoever? Or would you rather just go out by getting your head kicked clean off your shoulders by Chuck Norris? That's the way this Pac12 death looks to me right now. Because the way the Pac12 appeared to line up all the other schools after USC and UCLA left, they just lined up all the other schools and said, hey guys, let's go meet the cast of The Expendables and just mow the entire conference down. That's what has happened with the Pac12, and it bothers me. Because I've been harping on this for years, even before I started this channel. USC being relevant on the national stage covered up a lot of problems in the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 or even the Pac-8. When USC is relevant in football, the schools around the Trojans had to pick up the pace. And it's not just UCLA. It was Washington. It was Oregon. It was Stanford. All these other schools that once USC started to fall away in terms of the national profile, they're just like, whatever. All of the flaws in the conference got exposed. But the other conferences out there, your SEC, your Big 10, your Big 12, Unlike the Pac-12, they're not led by a bunch of elitist boobs. They're led by hillbillies who are chasing the money, who are chasing the big media paydays. And they know that that comes from football more than anything else. Meanwhile, here's the Pac-12 going, yeah, well, USC, they're not as great in football anymore, but we're the Conference of Champions. Why don't you pay us big bucks for volleyball and golf? That's what led to the big downfall. You can even argue in some weird way that having Clay Helton advanced this downfall. Helton's incompetence led to USC becoming irrelevant. USC becomes irrelevant, and then the only team that anybody pays attention to is Oregon. And Oregon isn't a school in the running for the national title as much as they are just an excuse for players to be walking the catwalk with neon-colored uniforms. So yeah, USC is relevant. All the other schools in the Pac-12 want to be relevant, and it's too late. Too bleeping late for the Pac-12. Straight and simple. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this next topic because the dude is still in Philadelphia and the trade talks are allegedly dead. But we were wondering for a while if James Harden was going to make it ugly over the fact that the Sixers did not trade him immediately to the Clippers. Well, we don't have to wait long. We don't have to wait long. Harden put Sixers president Daryl Morey on blast yesterday, called him a liar, said he wasn't going to show up for training camp. And I have a question for you if you are a Clippers fan. Do you really want this guy now? Do you? Yeah, he can score. But for a lot of his career, he's been a malcontent. This is not the first time he tried to force a trade by being a jerk to everybody. I mean, did you notice that when Harden said that he wanted out of Philadelphia, that nobody said there's a James Harden sweepstakes? There's a reason for that. It's because he has a reputation. Nobody else wanted that on that team. The only team that said we want him is the Clippers. Do you really want that guy? Think about your team. The Clippers' offense is predicated on ball movement. James Harden is a notorious ball hog. Why would you want that? The Clippers are known for playing pretty hard defense. James Harden isn't somebody who tries on defense. Do you want that? For that matter, do you even remember the book, The Jordan Rules? Way back in the day when Michael Jordan was leading the Bulls to championships. The book implied that Michael Jordan had his own separate rules, that he didn't have to follow team guidelines, team policies. You already know the Clippers have the Kawhi rules with load management. You know the Clippers have Paul George rules. Do you really want to add all of these crazy Harden rules too? Now, I realize I'm harping on this a little bit, but as much as Laker fans wish that the Lakers never acquired Russell Westbrook, Westbrook has been a dream for the Clippers to work with. Do you really want to mess up this team chemistry, this team concept for James Harden? Do you? I'm not saying I know the answer. I'm asking you, do you? Lakers coach Darvin Ham said that the team has the depth of a championship team now, which also, by the way, means he's admitting last year's roster was about as shallow as a dog's water pool. Quote, "I think the sky is the limit for what we will be able to do," he told ESPN, adding that talent alone is not sufficient enough for the title. Quote, "Obviously, you have to execute and have a team full of guys who are willing to sacrifice their personal goals, their personal agendas, to align themselves with what the team goal is, and that's to win a championship. A lot of luck goes into that," unquote. By the way, again, does any of that sound like James Harden? Relief pitcher Joe Kelly for the Dodgers felt at home by being traded back to LA, and now he gets to spend time in the Dodger pitcher's second home, the injured list. He has right forearm inflammation. What is it about pitching for the Dodgers that gives pitchers arms like Popeye the Sailor? Can anybody answer that for me? I have no idea. And by the way, do you remember Ryan Pepio? He was a spot starter for LA whenever a Dodger pitcher got hurt last year, which was all the time. Pretty decent last year, but he got hurt in spring training. Well, he is pitching again in Oklahoma City. He took a perfect game into the 7th inning on Sunday. He just didn't finish the game, but that's a hell of an outing. Speaking of people who are getting their groove back by being with the Dodgers, Evan Phillips, reliever, cut by Baltimore in 2021 with an ERA of about 7.5. It's a 1.92 ERA in LA. Ryan Brazier came this year. He was cut from Boston. Similar ERA there, 7.5. It's 1.27 in LA. Jason Hayward, cut last year by the Cubs, 11 homers this year. JD Martinez has 9 more home runs this year than he had the entire last year that he was in Boston. And we already know about Lance Lynn being 3-0 since the Dodgers acquired him from Chicago. So, again, reasons for optimism abound when you're wearing Dodger blue. Meanwhile, we all agree that Shohei Ohtani is the big prize in the upcoming free agent cycle, but what we have not talked about a lot is who the Dodgers could lose. Now, I realize the offseason is a ways away, but Julio Urias, despite his early season woes, is apparently the 4th best free agent in the upcoming market. This is according to a former GM, Jim Bowden, who writes for The Athletic. He listed the top 30 free agents in the upcoming offseason. Clayton Kershaw is number 8. So we can all cue up the rumors again about either the Texas Rangers or retirement. JD Martinez ranks 16th, but he's 36 years old. So it's an interesting, funky little free agent list. ESPN's NFL scribes got together and they voted on quarterbacks by traits. Who's the most accurate? Who's got the strongest arm? Stuff like that. They think that Justin Herbert has the 3rd strongest arm, 4th best mechanics, 4th in pocket presence, 5th in field vision, accuracy, decision-making, toughest, and touch, whatever the hell that is. And also, by the way, he's the 9th best runner. Now, somewhere in writing all those notes down, I realized Herbert was top 5 in damn near every column, and I just started getting bored writing all these things down. Let's just get to the chase. ESPN scribes love them some Justin Herbert. They love him a lot, and I can't say that I blame them. But as for the Rams, now Matthew Stafford qualifies in the top 10 as well in virtually every one of their lists. But they just simply kept putting Herbert above Matthew Stafford. Now, honestly, I don't really take too much issue with that. Not too much. But I have a bone to pick with one column. Toughness. Matthew Stafford is tougher than Justin Herbert. I'm just going to throw that out there. You play behind whatever passed for an offensive line in Detroit. You got your head kicked in that many years. I don't know if there's another quarterback alive that could have lasted in Detroit as long as Matthew Stafford did behind that. I mean, for Pete's sake, the guy played with a bruised spinal cord here. I don't know anybody who could have done that kind of stuff. For damn sure, Justin Herbert wouldn't be able to last in Detroit for the time period that Stafford was there. Now, again, I'm not saying... Again, I'm not trying to tell you that Herbert's lousy or overrated. I'm just telling you in that one column, give Matthew Stafford his flowers, or at least his lilies before you bury him for getting hit that often. I was looking for more positives for the Rams after that loss to the Chargers on Saturday. And again, I recognize it's preseason, but man, they look bad. Let's just call it what it is. Multiple scribes, though, believe cornerback Trey Tomlinson acquitted himself well, and that as a result, he'll be on the field a lot for LA this year. Now, the Rams had 12 draft picks this year. We can be confident that they hit with wide receiver Puka Nacua. We think they did with offensive lineman Steve Avila. The more hits that they get, the quicker this so-called remodel of the Rams takes place. Tomlinson might wind up being a steal in the 6th round. I'm also going to stick with my belief that Tutu Atwell is now the 3rd wide receiver, which means he starts for LA. Ben Skowronek, remember he was a starter last year? He played Saturday, which means he's probably fighting for his starting gig, but the guy only had 2 catches for 7 yards. Not good. I like to check MLSsoccer.com for updates on the Galaxy and LAFC, but god dang, for the last month, MLSsoccer.com, it hasn't been a website as much as it has been like an Instagram for Lionel Messi. Everything is a photo of Lionel Messi on that bloody website. I have not seen photos of that many dudes wearing pink polo shirts since the 1980s. But anyway, MLS got off Messi's jock for about 5 minutes to list players younger than 22 who have a bright future. Jalen Neal of the Galaxy made that list. And the scribe, Matthew Doyle, described him as having good but not great size and athleticism, and his real trait that they love is being a terrific passer. Doyle said Neal's path to improvement is clear. Get stronger, start winning headers in the box, and learn to read the game just a little better so that his instinct is not to immediately drop back. I don't think I have a problem with that assessment. I don't. Defender Calgary also made the list, especially for his ability to progress the ball upfield and committing tactical fouls. Now for LAFC, Doyle listed 3 players, but I have to take small issues with the way he's describing them. Nathan Ordaz made the list, but again, Doyle, and I don't think Doyle's is bad at his job. Doyle admits he's buying a little high on the striker. Ordaz was brutal in the USL last year, and he's not even playing with the black and gold now. He's playing for this MLX Next Pro thing. So is he really one of the best players out there younger than 22 years old? Also, he really loves defender Mamadou Fall, who is back with LAFC after a loan to Villarreal didn't work out. It didn't work out. So is he really as good as you think he is? And besides that, when I saw Mamadou Fall play the Galaxy last year, Chicharito punked him twice. Just saying. He also mentioned Stipe Biuk, but wrote that the forward lacks the eye for a killer final ball. Now, none of this is to imply that LAFC is at death's door. Of course not. But are their youthful players as good as they think they are? Just wondering. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me what you think about USC leading the way as the Pac12 dies before our very eyes. Tell me what you think about James Harden trying to punk his way into LA. And if you enjoyed the commentary, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.